It's good to be back. If you don't know me, my name is Valentino Jean. I have a YouTube channel and a Facebook page called um, Self-Taught Polyglot. I teach languages. I'm a language coach. I help people to expand their language learning process and their language learning skills. And I also help people to speak different languages and speak languages at different levels, okay, in the world. So I think I'm based in Haiti. I'm also a teacher of foreign languages, okay, and a prospective linguist and philosopher. So today's video is going to be almost the same, okay. We're going to be talking about some of the things that I don't know if you can hear me or not, because they said that I really need to get used to it, because sometimes when I talk, people say that they can't listen, they don't hear anything. Other time when I check the video again after having released it, and I see that the sound was perfect. So I don't even know. So it's up to you guys that are listening to tell me whether you can hear me or not. Okay. So today is Sunday, as always. As I said, I have started, from the at the end of the month, September, just to teach you guys a little bit of English literature, especially every Sunday at around 8 o'clock, just before 9. Okay, just before going to bed. I really wanted to do something like that. So today this class is going to be for advanced, high intermediate, and advanced learners. It's not for beginners because it's all about literature. So you should be able to understand the language, to understand the what I'm saying first, because what I'm saying here is I would say they're not really that significant. Okay, they're not really, the words that I'm using are not really difficult to understand. Okay, because I'm speaking very basic English right now. But in order to get into the content that we are going to view today, which is going to be literature, so you should have at least a good understanding of English, and you should be able to understand the language I would say, from a very advanced, you should have an advanced understanding of the language in order to really grasp what I'm going to share with you today and use it for goods. Okay. So I hope you're fine. So today is Sunday. It's I think it's October 3rd, 2021. It's a wonderful day. It's not that a wonderful day for me because I had an accident last Friday. I had an accident, a motorcycle accident, and I didn't actually post something on Facebook just to say that, but I had a motorcycle accident. I can barely walk right now. I'm just sitting right here. Today I didn't go out. Yesterday I didn't actually go out. Yesterday I spent the whole day at home because it was very awful yesterday. Right now I can say that I'm doing a little bit okay. I had that accident Friday in the morning. I was driving to go to Pétionville, okay, on a motorcycle, and then I received a shock. And then I went down on my knees, and I have my knees it's not broken, but it's sprained, right? So yeah, that was my accident last Friday. So I didn't tell anybody about it unless you're part of my family or you live with me. But I just wanted to say that today as I'm doing this live, okay? But it's okay. It's okay. I feel great. I can talk. I can write some messages. If you send me some messages send me some comments on below this video, I'll be able to just read them and reply during the video. It's not my mouth. It's not my head. But it was just my knees, okay? Just for the accident. I think that I'm just gonna go to hospital maybe on Monday, but it was awful yesterday, but now I can say it's getting better now. Okay, it's getting better. Yeah. So, thank you guys. Thank you, Vaxma the Petr. Thank you so much, man. although we haven't seen each other for a long time. Thank you so much, man. So enough about it. So don't worry, my knees getting better, especially the right knees. I can't show it to you right now. I received the shock. I was driving. It was the guy was driving. It was really fast, and then he bumped into a bumper, in the road, and then he did not expect that, or he hadn't expected before, and then I had that accident. So on Friday morning, it wasn't Friday morning. It was about 6 a.m. Before going to Pittsburgh, but it's okay now, so I can talk now. Hopefully, I hope that you're fine. So we have Vaxma Depeche with us today. We're gonna learn a couple of English words and a couple of English expressions, especially dealing with poetry and stuff like that. So I really want you to enjoy the thing that we are doing here, which is to help you guys that have advanced and low intermediate levels in English, just to level up that this level, and just to be maybe an independent learner, and use literature in order to improve your ability, your skill, your understanding, your listening skills, your speaking skills, your writing skills, etc. Okay, so there are a lot of skills you can work on, and hopefully you're going to be working on these skills along the way. So I have planned this course for you today. We're going to talk about Housman, a great writer, a great poet, has written a lot of great work. But today's class is not going to be something that we're going to do just for the sake of learning English. Today it's going to be a poem, but it has a lot of ramifications with our daily lives, right? The things that we do on a daily basis. It has to do with relationship, ourselves, the way we understand the world, the way we interact with one another, with each other, the way that we interact with the opposite sex, the way that we are perceived in the world, the way that we are perceived in a first world country, third world country, or an emerging country. So I think that this poem has a lot to say about that, and then I am going to elaborate after reading the poem. Okay, and then I'm going to be talking a little bit about it. I'm going to be telling you some of the metaphors that the poet uses in order to illustrate his points, his ideas, and how you see that in our modern society. Okay, so I want you to pay close attention to this, because we're not going to spend a lot of time today. We're going to spend maybe, let's say we're going to spend 30 minutes together. We're not going to spend a lot of time. I'm not going to spend 1 hour today because of what happened to me, of my accident, and I can't speak for a long time, so I can speak for 30 or 40 minutes at most. Okay, I hope you understand that. But I can go, I can talk for 1 hour, 2 hours, even 3 hours. I would say that would be my limit. But today I have only 30 minutes, and I hope that I'm going to cover everything that we have to cover today. So you can see the book is in front of me. So this is a book that I'm going to be reading from. It's my book, but I'm going to be sharing some knowledge to you and some wisdom to you as well. So we're not going to spend a lot of time, because I'm a little bit, as I said, tired, and especially for my accident, so I can't spend a lot of time sitting. So I hope you understand that. Okay, so back to what I was saying. This poem is very interesting. It has a lot of ramifications with our lives, the things that we do on a daily basis, the world, and the way that the world is communicating to us as individuals, and social, with our social accolades and our social selves. Okay, so this poem is very interesting, especially for you guys that are young, that are in your early 20s, your mid 20s, or your late 20s, like 20, I would say 20, 29, 28, 20, 23, 24. I would say it has a lot of ramifications with your life, especially if you are, let's say, you're very confident, and that your confidence is not something that is, I would say, long term. It's not something that you're working on for long term, but it's something you're working on with short term. Especially this happened a lot with to women, right? It happens a lot to women. It happens a lot to young guys as well. But I've seen that, especially I'm talking from my experiences, guys. Okay, from my experiences, my perspective, and my experimentation with lives and relationship and friendship, etc. So I'm going to be reading this poem, very beautiful poem, and then we're going to be talking about all the social condition and the psychological condition it has, right, in our lives as individuals. Okay, living in third world countries, first world countries, etc. Okay. This poem was written by Housman. I hope that you can get this book. If you can get it, I'm going to show you this book. It's a very interesting book right here. Literature, sounds, structure, and sense. I hope that you can get this book. It's a very interesting one. You will find it in this book as well. But I'm just reading it from this little book right here. Very easy, and then we're just gonna trying to understand everything inside of it. The title, as you can see the description of the video. The title of the poem is "When I Was 1 and 20." Remember what I said. Poetry is I would say it's a kind of literature. It's a genre of literature, which uses language in a different way to reveal some experiences. Okay, to reveal some experiences. They can reveal mystic experiences, daily life experiences in a very beautiful manner, right? And poetry is an intense literature, right? It's an intense literature. Feel good. Thank you, Vaxman. Yeah, I'm just feeling great now. Thank you, man. I can't really stand alone for long, but it's okay. Yeah, thank you. So poetry is something that we use in order to discover the world in a very aesthetic way, right? There are different things, different devices, different linguistic devices that poets use in order to compose a poem. Okay, I said in my early early videos, there are in poetry there are stanzas, there are rhymes, rhythm, there are meters, all these things. We're gonna talk about them. I hope that I'm gonna make a video, which is going to be different. It's not gonna be a live video. It's gonna be a video that I'm going to post it. I'm going to pre-record it, okay, prior to, and then I'm going to post it so that I can explain the different things, the different things that you find in a poem. And it's not something that I'm just going to do and just find it in the universe. It's something that I'm just going to take from this lovely book right here. Very interesting one that I love. I've had this book maybe for 5 or 6 years, and still there are so many pieces of information inside of it that I haven't exhausted this book. I'm still using this book. It's one of my most favorite books. You can see it's on my table, my reading table, because it's so interesting, so important. So the pieces of information that I'm going to share to you guys about literature, poetry, and how you can read a poem, there are 90% are going to be from this book. I'm sure about that. Okay, so when I was 1 and 20, remember that a poet has something called a license. License, you see, license literally mean permission. Like if you have a license to drive, you have the permission to drive a car, and you're not going to be fined because you can be fined for other reasons, but you're not going to be fined because you have your driver's license. In English, a license means just something you have as a permission. It can be mental, it can be a physical thing like a paper, right? A card, right? So poets has this thing called license, okay? Poetic license. They has this permission, this permission to write words in order to fit into their rhythm, in a sense, the rhythm of the poet, okay? So they can change words a little bit and to make it sounds better, okay, or to fit the poem, to fit the rhyme of the poem. When the author says, "When I was 1 and 20," what he really means, not when I was 1 and 20, but when I was 21. Right? I hope you get that. It's just it's a way to adjust that so that it sounds better. Okay? Sounds better, and it rhymes with the rest of the poem. I hope you understand that. The title of the poem is "When I Was 1 and 20." when I was 1 and 20. When I was 1 and 20. Okay? Remember that when you're reading English, you're reading at a very natural rhythm, like a native speaker's rhythm. You're not going to say 20 unless you speak in British English, right? If you speak in American English, like I do myself, you would say 20. It's natural. Okay, you say 20, not 20. You say 20. This sound, the T, is a little bit silent, especially from a very phonological standpoint, not from a phonetic standpoint, from a very phonological standpoint, because the function of the T sounds here is different from the function of T, like at the very beginning of the word. I cannot say 20. I have to say tu, because the T here in the beginning of the sentence is important. Okay, it is important. It is obvious. Whereas in the middle of the sentence, it can be silent. Okay, be silent. And in English, they call that incidental T. The T is pronounced as if it were a D. Right? It's very common in English. So I'm just going to read the poem so you can follow along with me. When I was 1 and 20, I heard a wise man said. You know what a wise man is, right? Give crowns and pounds and guineas, but not your heart. Give pearls away and rubies, but keep your fancy free. But I was 1 and 20, no use to talk to me. When I was 1 and 20, I heard him say again, the heart out of bosom was never given in vain. This paid with signs of plenty and sold for endless rule. And I was 2 and 20. You see, 2 and 20. Oh, it's true. Such a beautiful poem written by Housman. Such a beautiful poem. I'm going to read it again. When I was 1 and 20, I heard a wise man said, give crowns and pounds and guineas, but not your heart away. Give pearls away and rubies, but keep your fancy free. But I was 1 and 20, no use to talk to me. When I was 1 and 20, I heard him say again, the heart out of bosom was never given in vain. This paid with signs of plenty and sold for endless rule. And I was 220. Oh, it is true. So do you see the difference? The first part, the author was 21, 1 and 20. And the second part, when reality clicks, it was 220. It means that it was 22. Now I'm going to give you some basic ideas of some couple of words that you might be a little bit difficult, or might be a little bit, in your passive vocabulary words, and you don't really have an image in your head when I'm saying them. You know what a crown is, you know what a guinea is. A pearl is just a jewelry, okay? A pearls, women normally use them, okay? And fancy free, it's like fancy free, you're free. Like when you say free in English, like stress free, I am stress free, you put free at the end of a word. There are a lot of words in English like that. It generally means that you are not attached to that, or that is not that significant to you. Okay. There are a lot of words I can't remember off the top of my head right now, right off the bat, but there are a lot of words in English that you just put free at the end just to mean not. I'm stress free, which means that I'm not stressful. I'm stress free. Okay. A lot of words. Okay. A lot of words. In this sense, fancy free. Fancy, you know what fancy means, right? Fancy, when you like to be fancy, to look good, but especially in a very derogative way, like you're just abusing that beauty, or just abusing something. Okay, fancy free. Fancy, like you're just wearing glasses. I'm going to show you a set of glasses right here. This is a fancy glasses, right? Yeah, it's a fancy glasses. Whereas I can have some other glasses, I basically use them just to read or to do something else. But this one, sunglasses, it's just a fancy one. Okay, fancy free, like you're not attached to fancy stuff. Okay, stuff just to look, I would say, I'm not gonna say to look good, but I would say just to impress, just just to look for attention but not retention. I hope you can get that. Okay, fancy stuff like things that you use in order to get attention but not exactly to get retention. Can you make the difference? Attention, retention, right? Yeah, it means that people are going to pay attention to you, or the things that you're going to be doing, it's going to be worth paying attention, but people are not going to keep paying attention because it's not that valuable. Okay, it's not that valuable. It's not educative. Okay, and people are going to lose interest, and yeah, okay, that's fancy. So you can say that I would argue that fancy is the opposite of valuable. Value, fancy and value. Okay, so yeah, so you fancy free, like as I said here, but not your heart away. Give pearls away and rubies away, but keep your fancy free, right? Because when you're young, like we're 21, I would say, I'm not, like, especially for women, you tend to be I would say I get that, especially for women. Like when you're 21, you're trying to live up to the society's expectation, right? You just want to look good. You're just wearing very beautiful clothes, garments, and then you just driving a beautiful car, beautiful motorcycle, as it was my case. You're trying to draw people's attention, right? Trying to draw people's attention, your look, your outfit, your material possessions, things that you do, the way you talk, the way you speak to people, your confidence, all these things. You're trying to to be overwhelmed by attentions because you're 21, you're 20, you are 22, 23, 24. But as it clicks in this poem, 22 in the poem does not mean that the author was literally 22. Or you can say that, well, he was 22, but he's trying to talk in a very in a long-term way. 22 might be just an experience. Just today, tomorrow, I begin to understand. Okay, reality clicks. 2 years from now, reality clicks. 5 years from now, reality clicks. 1 year from now, depending on what you're doing right now, reality can click, right? So he's saying that your heart, when say give crowns, crowns, they are beautiful things, jewelries, they are very beautiful and attractive. They are here just to attract people. Give all these things away. Give them away. Dish them out. Give them away. But not your heart away. You see, your heart. Your heart does not mean this organ beats blood. No. Your heart means, I would say, it's not your passion, but I would say in this sense, I would say that your heart is your emotional needs, not in a very negative way, but your emotions just to be like with something, with someone, with somewhere, like, okay, to be somewhere. That's your heart. That's the thing that drives you. Okay, it could be your ambition, your goal, your purpose, your aim, your desire, your positive desire. Okay, just to do something to help humanity, to help you guys, or to help somebody else, to help your mother, your father, members of your family, etc. Okay, just to do good, just to be a good human being, in a sense that you're doing something great in order to level up the mankind or the humankind. Okay, that's your heart. Okay, and it has to do with the right hemisphere. Okay, we have the left hemisphere and we have the right hemisphere. The left hemisphere is very logical. You tend to think a lot, do logics especially, and the left hemisphere is very it's very relation driven. Okay, so you have a drive, you have certain drives to get together with people, and it has to do with your heart, right? So when they say that when he says that do not give your heart away, does not mean to give your vulnerability away. No, it means that do not give that. Okay, let's take it from a very spiritual standpoint if you really want to understand that. Let's say that there are two different energies in the world, which I study a lot and I really appreciate. There is the yang and the yin and the yang energy, especially from the Taoist philosophy. I don't know if you're familiar with the Tao, with Taoism, with Lao Tzu. I actually have plenty of books in my bookshelf here about these guys. I read them a lot, and I like their philosophy. These two different energies in the universe, we can call them, some people call them God, others call them reality, others call them the metaphysical ground on which we experience things in general. You have this energy, which is the yang energy. It's very chaotic, right? It's very open. It's very open. It's like water, okay? And that's your heart, okay? That's your heart. That's your heart. Because when you give that away, it's going to take the form. It's going to be shaped in a content form. Okay, I would say it's the material inside a container. So when you just give it away, it's gonna take the form of the container. Okay, it's just water. Okay, it doesn't have a previous form, but it's gonna take the form of the container. Okay, the container can be a place, somewhere, somebody, etc. Okay, so he says, do not give that away. Okay, do not give that away. Generally speaking, in our society, especially Western society, because we are all Westerners. I live in Haiti. I'm a Westerner. If you're listening to me, I guess that you're a Westerner as well. We have this tendency, like, to give this energy to women, okay? Because sometimes it's true, right? Because women are basically more caring. Generally speaking, I'm stereotyping here, guys. Sorry, but I'm speaking from a very general standpoint. I'm not saying that everybody's the same, but I'm trying to explain that energy, because you tend to see women are more open to learn, more open to acknowledge their mistakes than men, because that's the energy, the yang energy. Okay, the yang energy is very fluid, right? And it's a nurturing energy. It's beautiful. So when you give that away, you're just gonna take the form of the container. The container might be a rock. The container might be a bottle. The container might be a glass. The container might be anything. You're just gonna take the form of the container. Whereas that container, the form that the container is going to give to you, might not be your initial ambition, your initial idea. But you're gonna live for the rest of your life, or maybe for 10 or 5 years, just living in this container. What Housman is trying to say here is that you should not give that away to somebody or to a place. You should not be a slave, in a sense. Okay, I would say that you should not be a slave in a sense that you're ignorant of being a slave. Okay, we're all slaves. Okay, we're all slaves, and slavery is part of life. Right? Yeah, slavery is part of life. Working is just being a slave of somebody, of a company, an institution, of a country, etc. And I can't remember the name of this philosopher who said that. Okay, his name is Hegel, in a book called The Phenomenology of Spirit. Great philosopher, great German philosopher. He says that slavery is a condition of civilization. Slavery is a condition of civilization. So when you're enslaved, at least you have some way to start. Okay, so just get out of this context, because he wrote that in the context of slavery in the third world countries right now. I can say what he said, it was kind of racist, but if you're trying to understand his philosophy, the things that his arguments for that, it makes sense. Myself, I did trying to read it, and I actually understood exactly what it was trying to say. Is that slavery is something, it's better than nothing. Okay, it's just a way for mankind to strive from being uncivilized to being civilized. Okay, I just put that into quotation mark here. So that's your heart. Do not give that away. Okay. But I was 120. No use to talk to me. So it means that when you're 20, when you're very young, in a sense that, like, you are deaf, okay? Like, people are trying to spill some truths to you, but you're not willing to learn. Sometimes I would argue that if you're listening to somebody, it's because that maybe the thing that the person is trying to say to you, maybe the person is articulating the thing that you've been thinking for a long time, but you didn't find the words to say to say them, to articulate that thought, but you had that thought earlier. Or maybe you have something in you, you have an intuition that is telling you that person is saying something truthful, or maybe there's some truths in what the person is saying. Okay, and then you pay a little bit of attention, okay, to what that person is saying, okay, and you learn from that person. But when you're very young, in the sense that you're very tribulous, you're not trying to improve, you just want to try in your little bumble, in your little bubble. You just want to try to stay in your comfort zone because you believe it's the greatest one. Okay, you're not trying to because we don't learn from similarity. We learn from differences. Okay, we don't learn from people who have the same ambition with us, the same wavelength. Okay, people that have the same intentions. We learn from people that can push us forward. And that's why relationship is always that dynamic of pushing one together forward. Okay, if you have somebody who's a friend of yours, it might be your girlfriend, your boyfriend, etc., and that person is saying, okay, I love you, I like you, I appreciate you because I love the way you are. No, F word for that person, because no, that's not friendship. Friendship is say that, well, you can be better than you are, and that's exactly the personality type of young philosophy, young psychology, is that there's a shadow in you, there's also a personality out of you, and that personality can be improved day after day, right? I can speak English. Well, English is an infinity. I will never be able to speak English perfectly 100%. Neither a native speaker will, because a native speaker can always improve on different things. Okay, he can read Shakespeare, he can read Charles Dickens, Mark Twain, all different authors, in order to improve his understanding, his ability to interact with people using English. English itself is an infinity. Okay, saying that you're done, okay, is basically killing the opportunity to learn. Sometimes we need to have a childlike mindset, but not a childish mindset. I hope that you understand that difference. A childlike and a childish, right? A childlike is like you have this amazing mindset which is very open, and then you always skeptic about your own security, your own ground, that you're always questioning them, and then you're very open to learn. Okay, and childish is, very kind of foolish, I would say, for an adult. Okay, because you were all adults, right? And he says that no use to talk to me. In English, when you say no use, there was no point to talk to me because I was young. I was not listening what the wise man was saying because I was just confident in my own paradigm, my own perspective, my own worldview, and I didn't want to challenge that. Okay, I've changed a lot over the years, I can say, politically speaking, psychologically speaking, philosophically speaking, scientifically speaking. I've changed a lot. Okay, my views on psychology, on human beings, human behaviors, and on human conditions, on the reason why we do such, this and not that, etc. Changed a lot, changed for the better. Some of them just for the conservative part, others for the liberal part. So I think it's great to be open. And there's a philosophy. There's a guy called Benjamin Franklin who said that after 25 years old, and it's scientific, right? Your mind is plastic, which means that, remember, trying to see anybody right now was older than 25, or older than 25, was 35, was in his 30s. Ask him that question. What have you done differently? That is your inner drive that you have differently in the age of like in this framework from 25 to X that you did not do in the earlier years. Generally, you're just gonna find a lot of people. Most of the things that they're doing in their lives, they're doing in just to create their own bubble. They started to create that from zero, like when you're totally ignorant, just like an animal, okay, to 25. Because most people, when they're 25, they're dead. They're not open for, to learn new stuff. They're not open to contemplate reality. They're not open to change their framework of reality. So, and it's scientific. I learned that 1 year ago when I was basically reading an article from the University of France called Collège de France. Collège de France is a very great university. It's great, online platforms you can use if you really want to learn things from a very expert perspective. I learned that from a psychologist called Dennis Stilast, and he's a cognitive psychologist and developmental psychology. He does cognitive psychology and developmental psychology, and he said that in his book, How to Learn. Okay, he said that when you're 25, the mind is a little bit plastic, okay, and you're a little bit stubborn. Okay, you don't really want to change your ground because that's going to be your weapon for survival for the rest of your life, right? That is exactly the reason why when you're 25, you go to another country, you're still going to be considered as a citizen of the previous country, I would say, or you would change citizenship, but your nationality should be the nationality of the previous country. If you're learning, try that. If you're learning a language, it's for languages, it's earlier than 25. Like it could be at the age of 12, like to speak with the perfect accent of a country. But after 25, it's going to be very different to pick the pitch of the language, because 25. It's not because it's. I think it is a little bit biological. The mind is plastic, okay, in the brain, because scientists say so. But also it has to do with a lot of social conditioning, okay? Social conditioning, social hallucinations, and illusions. Okay, when you're 25, you're supposed to care for yourself, especially if you live in a first world country. At the age of 28, well, you're supposed to care for yourself. But 25 is the perfect age for perfect responsibility, okay? Of your actions, right? Even though when you go to prison, you go on a trial, the sentence that you're going to give to you when you're 25 is going to be slightly different from the sentence that you're going to give to a young boy that is 20 years old or 21 years old. Because when you're 25, I guess in the United States of America, when you're 21, you are allowed to drink, right? Okay. You can do other things, but 25 is the age that you can go to a bar and drink, grab a drink, okay? Especially alcohol, okay? So 25 is that age where your mind becomes a little bit rigid, okay? You're not open for new experiences anymore, unless you're very keen on learning new stuff, and then it's something that you train. It's like a muscle, but it's not that natural. Okay, you can make it spontaneous. It's something you work on, like, okay, it's just a muscle. You can say, okay, I'm just gonna be learning for the rest of my life, because we're gonna be learning for the rest of our lives. Learning is just how to survive in a better way. That's what learning is, right? When you learn a skill, you learn a language. For example, I speak a couple of languages. For these languages, I have friends basically in all 7 languages that I speak. I'm trying to learn all the languages, but I have friends from different countries because I speak these languages. For these, I have different friendship relationships, interaction with different people. Okay.